There we go. Hello, we are live. Hello, Young Justice fans. Dark Soup Boy here again with another live interview. This time I am joined by the amazing illustrator of the Young Justice Targets, Christopher Jones. Hello,
Hello.
Christopher. Welcome to the channel again.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Oh, you're our regular now. You've been here the most times for free.
I'm the record holder. Is this like SNL where there's a five timers club I'm working my way towards? Is there a VIP room I can look forward to if I do two more appearances?
Well, Zira's shown up. Zira's had one interview during the quiz, and she showed up in the comments of the first quiz. So that's second place, and everyone else is joint third because they've only showed up once. I
I
would
just want
love to have
access.
more people on here.
I just want access to the VIP lounge and the swank smoking jacket. That's all I want.
Yeah, yeah, you've got access to the VIP lounge in the UK. You
Well,
want to come and slum it by all means.
the next time I get over there, we'll work something
Yeah.
out.
But again, appreciated, and especially during the time frame. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here, and it's 5 p.m. there. I know this is rather difficult trying to coincide people's time zones.
I'm used to having friends all over, all around the globe, and trying to coordinate time zones is always a challenge.
Okay. Oh, we've already got people coming in. Tiffany Chan,
Woo!
I remember her. She's been like for all of my live streams and the quizzes, so I appreciate coming back. Susie Brandy. Just want to say thank you for reuniting Supermarch. Yeah, Supermartian is just an adorable couple there. Not Spitfire level, but still an adorable couple. So obviously we're gonna give it a couple of minutes for people to sign on.
Of
Um,
course.
Whether or not other cast members will join us, I have no idea. In the comment section, if they do, I'm sure I'll try and get them in.
All right.
But we're not going to be obviously doing a couple of hours for obvious reasons. We're not a quiz, but we will obviously be chatting about Christopher's work, past, present, and future. Uh,
Yay.
yeah, Young Justice, past, present, and future, and obviously discussing the show and the series and what we are hoping and enjoyed about that.
Yeah, and
So if you do have any questions,
oh,
please put them in
I
the comment section below. But I will
I was
stress
I
this,
was
and I
just gonna
feel like my
say I was just gonna say, and I'm a fan of the show. I'm happy to talk about it generally, not just my work contributing to the IP, as they say in the industry. So yeah, let's go. And I cut you
yeah.
off, so please continue your
No, it's okay.
opening
I
remarks.
just I just said something that I have a feeling I will have to repeatedly say. Christopher doesn't know anything about season 5. He's just the illustrator. You can't ask him what's happening with season 5 or any future of Young Justice. Even if he did know, he would be legally bound not to tell us.
Which sounds like a tease
As
saying that I
tempting as it
secretly
is.
know something and I'm not telling. And like, no, right now there's no secret to keep. There's nothing to tell. I'm sitting around hoping for good news like everybody else because I as a fan I want there to be more Young Justice, and as somebody who wants to work on it, I want there to be more Young Justice.
Yeah. Oh, and it's been 12 years. 12 years of Young
That's
Justice.
that's crazy.
I know. I know. I'm just like, that's nearly half my life.
Uh,
That's actually
and
over half my life. Actually, under half my life. Oh God, I'm 35
so so
in May.
you have an existential crisis, and we're waiting for more people to join the video. I'll just say the way I first got connected to Young Justice is I had worked with Greg I had drawn one comic he had written for DC, like a 10-page story that went into an anthology, and then we met through a convention, and we got to be friends. And I had a chance to draw one issue of a Gargoyles spinoff comic that he was doing, and that's where things were. And then I heard that he was going to be doing this new series, Young Justice, and I was like, well, that sounds cool. And I also thought, I know how this works. There'll be a tie-in comic at DC Comics, so I'm going to do what I did that got me the job drawing The Batman Strikes, which was the tie-in comic for the series The Batman, which was before they'd announced there would be a comic. I found out who the editor was going to be, and directly went to them and said, "I want the job." But in this case, by the time I found out who was going to be editing the inevitable Young Justice tie-in comics, they had an artist in place already. So if you recall, they aired the two-part pilot of Young Justice sometime before the series started on a weekly basis, or what passed for a weekly basis on Cartoon Network. Um,
Oh yeah.
and so at that point, I saw the first two episodes, not thinking I was working on it in any capacity, and was a huge fan. I'm like, oh, this is great. Oh, wow. Now I really wish I'd gotten to work on this. And then I got a call from that editor saying that the artist that had been assigned was moving on to something else, and was I still interested? And I was like, yes. So I came in on issue 5, which was actually the 6th issue because there had been a 0 issue. And I was the regular artist for the rest of the original run of Time Comics, and that was the beginning of my connection to the Young Justice franchise, the multimedia empire that is Young Justice.
You did good, Christopher. Speaking of gargoyles, when you mentioned that, I did notice I did point out to a lot of fans who enjoyed it, your little gargoyle Easter egg that is hidden in the Young Justice targets.
Well, that's even more complicated. That is actually a reference back to that first comic that Greg and I ever did together. It was like a Justice League. It was when they were doing these 80-page anthology specials, and they were either 80-page giants or secret files, or title things like that. It was one of those, and Greg wrote a 10-page story that was Captain Atom and members of Justice League Europe in Paris dealing with these enchanted gargoyle creatures who looked legally distinct from the Disney animated property known as gargoyles.
There's an extra O with it. They're pronounced gargoyles.
Sure they are. Or as Animaniacs did it, garden gnomes. But the
Animaniacs did that? I did not know that.
In reruns they changed the name to something even further removed. But I remember when it first ran, because they were parodying the opening narration from Gargoyles, the announcer was like, "And they are garden gnomes," which was very funny at the time. But so we did that 10-page story, and I got to design these pastiche parody versions of the principal Gargoyles characters. And if you look closely, the creatures that are in that issue of Young Justice Targets, where they are in Paris, are the same ones from that story that was 12, 13 years ago now. So yeah, that's a callback. That's an Easter egg.
It was a very, I mean, I didn't notice it until I read it through the second time, and I was just like thinking, hang on, that gargoyle looks familiar.
Yeah, well, it was the that whole page was kind of an interesting trick, because like you wanted to make the shot of the building that the heroes are perched on big enough that you can include several of these gargoyles, but you wanted them to be obscure enough that they're not the first thing you see.
Mm.
So that was a combination of just the composition of the shot, and then coordinating with our colorist to make sure that the hero characters got all the emphasis with the lighting and the color. Jason Wright, our wonderful colorist, and the gargoyles are stone. They blend in with the color of the building. They're in the shadows. So hopefully, once you notice them, then you can enjoy the Easter egg, but it's not distractingly the first thing you see when you turn the page.
Well, I did, and to the people that I pointed it out to, they did as well.
Oh, good.
So well done on that front. Okay, so we're 10 minutes in now. I'm not quite sure how rapid. I mean, we're not going to get that many. Ah, I so wish I get to. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. Just 111 to go.
Look, if you're watching this right now and you haven't subscribed, let this man sleep at night. Do him a favor. Please hit the subscribe button.
Thank
Please.
you. It was.
Won't you do it for me? Won't you do it for the team? Okay.
Oh, emotional blackmail there. Oh.
It's what I'm good at.
Speaking of, I think this man subscribes to my channel because he's commented on a few of them.
Uh-oh. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed your first post when I spotted the Kryptonian crystals in the poster, and you said this man goes into way too much detail. It's just like, yes, I know, I'm right. Yeah, I look at things way too deeply. Okay, oh, Tiffany.
It was so
Right, okay.
fun when.
Actually,
Oh, go ahead.
we'll reward the people who have actually joined us by posting up the one of the
Okay.
questions, which is Susie Barry is. I have a question about the targets coming. Why did the flashbacks only feature the 2011 Green Arrow short becoming canon and not more past team missions? I did actually notice that from connected that because of the DC showcase. I think that had something to do with Greg Weisman actually wrote that as a showcase, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the idea comes that other things were teased. I'm not. I don't understand that part of the question. But definitely, it was deliberate on Greg's part to want to do the canonical Young Justice version of those events because I think in Greg's head, if it's a DC Comics thing that he has written, he would like that all to like live in one, Greg Weisman's DC Universe continuity. But the reality is that there are different things that don't quite connect up properly.
Yeah.
So he's come up with this term he likes to use of continuity adjacent. I know he's used that in reference to the animated Catwoman film.
He
He
said
had
that
come
was
out
connected
recently.
as well. I remember talking about that.
And so now, if you compare the Green Arrow animated short and those events as depicted in the Targets comic, which is Young Justice canon, we now have a definition for what canon adjacent means. It's very similar, but not exactly the same.
You have an extra 20 minutes of footage for Young Justice to enjoy.
Well, it's basically the action gets simplified because it would take 20 pages
Oh yeah.
to
Oh
do
yeah.
a 2-minute animated fight scene, beat for beat. But it's things like, oh well, now Perdita looks like our Perdita, and everything's connected in the way that it should to what you've seen in Young Justice. So
Now, does that mean in the Scooby-Doo WrestleMania when Artemis, Zatanna, Cassie, and Miss Martian show up, that's canon as well?
I was not involved with that project. I cannot speak to that project. I mean, I certainly know what you are talking about. I don't. If you would like to assume that was just something that they were watching on TV one night, I don't think there's any harm in that. But I do not present myself as the final authority on that question.
Yeah, I am. I have talked with Tiffany Chan. I've talked. No. Who did I talk to before on the illustrating team? Oh, this is really annoying. I've got Tiffany Chan because her YouTube's there. Oh, Do Hong. That's who I was talking to as well.
Oh yes.
Yes. Yeah, and then they. So yeah, I didn't know if that was you. I didn't know it wasn't Doe, but I'll find whoever it is on there and message them. It's like, is this now canon? Okay. Oh, Susie specified everyone was under the impression we'd see more past missions from the 5 years time skip. So I think she meant like that form
I
rather than one whole story. But
I I
you did a
I
good job.
understand that, but I don't know where that was indicated that like that's what Targets was intending to do.
Hmm.
Fans will get ideas into their heads of what to expect from something that I can never figure out. Like, where did that idea come from? And then it's it's frustrating because I hate to see fans get disappointed because something doesn't deliver something they were expecting, but it's hard to have any control over what those expectations are sometimes.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I was 100% adamant that when they mentioned time travel, Wally was at some point going to come back because I am adamant that man is not dead. He is just in the future due to light speed theory. I remember showing Brandon Beatty a diagram of how light speed travel works and how he would just, if he accelerates to a point, time goes slower for him. So by the time he breaks down, but like decades have gone by. But no, no, my Wally is still missing. Yes. Okay, well, we'll actually go on to the my intended questions. So, what future projects have you got in line? If you any of this you can tell.
Um, so there's a danger whenever I say I'm working on something that I can't uh, disclose. People assume there's a secret Young Justice thing that I'm not talking about. I'm not working on anything Young Justice right now. I'm hoping to work on more in the future. The earliest likely opportunity for that would be if DC Comics decides to let us do more comics following up on Young Justice Targets. Um, if they were to greenlight another season of Young Justice or something Young Justice related tomorrow,
Mm.
we could probably do another comic book miniseries, and I'd be
But
done with it
yeah,
before they would be ready for me to start working on anything animated. Animation just takes so much longer. You have to write 26 episodes for a Young
mm.
Justice
I
season.
remember that, I was actually there when at San Diego Comic Con, and I was the guy who yelled out season four, of which Greg did his four-finger hold up, and honestly, that's my great one of the greatest Justice moments in my life. Uh, it still took them 2 years to make it.
Yeah, the problem that we've gotten to with Young Justice is um, because the powers that be are well aware that there is a rabidly enthusiastic fan base clamoring for more of this show. They understandably, once they greenlight something and know, like, okay, this is happening, want to let the fans know right away.
Mm,
But you don't normally hear about an animated TV show or any TV series or project like this when they start working on it. You usually hear about it when you're into the post-production process. They have a sizzle reel to show. They have promotional art they can show you. It's coming soon. It's time to start promoting it because the release is imminent.
mm.
And with Young Justice, uh, I think they announced. I think they announced season 3, Young Justice Outsiders, within a day or two of Greg and Brandon being hired to start working on it.
Yeah, the same was for season four.
Yeah,
Greg posted in a later tweet that he only been told like 2 days beforehand.
yeah. So like, so what's happening? What's been done? Like, we came here to talk about it, and
That's
that's
it.
it so far. So yeah, and the length of a production cycle on an animated TV show depends a lot, depending on the number of episodes and the style of the show and all of that. With Young Justice and a 26 episode season, it's about a year and a half. It's almost 2 years. So
So, you were just talking about Young Justice comics production. How are
yeah,
sales looking in that regard? Do you know like how well you did? Top
I
10,
have
top
I
20?
have I have not heard specific numbers. My understanding is it has done reasonably well, but I think they're waiting to see how the trade paperback does when we get there, to
You
make
got one
any.
by
Yeah, I thank you, and I'll be buying several, and that's what everyone's getting from me for Christmas that year. Um, but the I think you're probably waiting to see how that does to make any decisions about doing more. It's hard, even if I was hearing specific numbers, it all gets so diffused with the way they release this because they did the digital first thing. So you get, some people are getting it when it comes out digitally. Some people are waiting for the print version, which doesn't come out for like a month after the digital version comes out. And then, they further complicated it with this director's cut business of wanting to have 5 pages that they could hold back as a separate thing from the main story. So that separates so basically like each issue comes out 3 times. It's weird.
mm,
Um, but they have their reasons for wanting to do that, and it's their company and their characters, so they can do what they want. Um, but yeah, I think you'll get the whole picture of how profitable it would be for DC to do more when they see how the trade paperback does, which is why as we approach the release date for that, which I forget, it's June or July of next year. Um,
sorry, was that the Blu-ray release?
no, the sorry, the trade paperback
Oh,
release.
the trade paperback.
If I
Do you
said
know when the
something, if
Blu-ray is coming out?
no, I have not heard anything about that. People
Guys,
seem
just
to
like
think
I'm
that you
waiting for
work on
that.
this stuff and like there's an internal memo that goes around saying, "Oh, here's all the stuff happening with this property you worked on." It's like, no, I learn about this stuff when it gets
Well,
announced.
I'm
I see it
hoping for
online.
when you sell the paperback, I'm hoping for more bonus features, which you included in the last one, which was
Well, and that was largely Greg and I wanting to load it up with as much unique content, given how much of those most recent collections were basically a new packaging of stuff that had come out in the original 4 volume version. And when they were putting out in 2 volumes, we were like, well, that the 20-page 2-part story that we did for Young Justice Outsiders wasn't included in those and has never been reprinted
yeah.
widely. And they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll put that in." And like, would you like some character designs? Would you like, commentary on Easter eggs? Greg offered to write like a little forward and behind the scenes. So like that all happened because we were like, "Here, take content, put it in the book," and we're very interested in doing more of the same this time around. I don't know. Um, Other than character designs and just commentary, that there's a whole lot extra to throw in there. But certainly we would like to load it up as much as we could. We'll see what happens. I'm very happy with it. I'm hoping people have enjoyed it. It's hard to separate out what people are wanting from what they thought of what we actually produced. Because a lot of fans are like, "Oh, well, yeah, it's a comic, but I really want season 5." I'm like, "Well, yeah, so do I. But for now, here's this, and we could probably
I'd
make
like a
more of
million
this
pounds, but it's
more
not going to
easily
happen.
than yeah." Because the thing is, aside from the fact that comics get made much faster than animation, it's a smaller financial commitment, so the bar is lower to convince DC, who makes the decisions about whether to do more
Hmm.
comics, to convince them to like, let's do another 6-episode miniseries, or let's do an ongoing, or whatever it would be, versus trying to convince HBO Max. I know there's talk about a deal with Amazon. I don't know what's happening with that.
Yeah, same here.
I don't know of any deal there. I'm dying to know, but I don't know either. I learned about it when I read about it on the web, just like everybody else. But basically, it's a property that Warner Brothers Animation likes and has faith in. But they aren't just making cartoons to put on a shelf. They have to have some partner that wants to help pay the cost of production and have a plan for the release. With Cartoon Network during the first 2 seasons, that was funded by a three-way thing with Warner Brothers Animation, Cartoon Network, and Mattel, who paid for the merchandising rights. And in both the DC Universe and HBO Max incarnations with seasons 3 and 4, that was just something being produced for a streaming platform. So there was no need for merchandise to perform for it to be considered successful. But unfortunately, that meant we didn't get much merchandise at all. I want action figures. I want T-shirts. I want mugs. I want.
They do exist. They're just extremely hard to wear.
Well, there aren't a lot of them. I mean, I can you imagine a Young Justice toy line that was the equivalent of the Justice League toy line, where we get all the heroes, all the villains, every variant costume. Oh my gosh!
If you want to find out how much that all cost, I did do a YouTube video of like how much it costs to buy everything, and it cost a lot.
I have most of it.
You also have a giant poster in the background, which
that's my convention banner, which it took me all of 3 minutes to put that up behind me for the shooting of this video. It doesn't always sit like this in my living room. But
did you just have a giant printer and just keep
No. This is the banner I made for when I do conventions. It sits behind my table.
Yes. This man does do excellent commission work. I did have one thing planned for him, but it went south very quickly, and due to previous attempt of exchanging gifts with said cast members, that didn't go to plan. So I'm rather glad that didn't happen. Maybe we could sort it out that you do a wedding one of just me and Belle with the cast.
Well, that we can figure out. But no, the banner, by the way, the artwork on it, given that you can see a corner of it here,
is the poster.
And I'm gonna focus. There we go. So one of the things that was a treat right at the end of my time working on season 4 of the show was I had pretty much wrapped my role doing storyboard revisions, and I got approached by Brandon Vietti about working with him to create these images for HBO Max for them to use for both promotion and for menu screens for the show. And we had one general poster for the season, and then an individual poster for each of the season story arcs, and
which I enjoyed breaking down tremendously.
It's so fun, like when they come out and everyone's like, oh, what does this all mean? And like once you've seen it, it's like, oh, now I get every reference and all the visual iconography. But when you haven't seen the episodes yet, you're like, what are those diamond things? What's that about? But basically, Brandon did the composition for them, and then I did the final line art, tightening up the drawings, making sure everything is perfectly on model. And then Jason Wright was the artist that was brought in to do the color on them. And we were all so struck by what the finished product looked like that when the opportunity rolled around to do Young Justice targets, we tried to see if Jason was available to come on and color color those, and thankfully he was, because I think that book looks gorgeous, and it was really fun to turn in line art I was already pretty pleased with, and then see it really kicked up a notch. We had really good color on the original Time Comics too. Zach Atkinson was a colorist on that. I've been blessed with very nice color work on this title.
Okay. Okay, we got another fan question. Oh, I've just noticed that Susie Brandy has actually listened to your plea and subscribed to my channel. Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah.
Emotional blackmail works. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Tiffany Chan asks, what was your favorite part of the Targets comic? Scenes, moments, or something that is unique to Targets?
It is always a treat when I get to do original character designs. If we hardly ever use characters that aren't existing DC Comics characters in one respect or another. Even like non-costumed background characters, if they are named, it's very likely that they are some really obscure deep cut.
Don't. Greg Weisman's message about like 600 odd Young Justice characters has had my group and the Whelmed cast. We're just like looking through every episode and every we don't even have. We're like 200 short. It's just.
It's
Oh,
madness.
the man pieces.
It's madness. But if a character is appearing in a comic I'm drawing and they haven't appeared yet on the show, that means there isn't yet a Young Justice Earth 16 version of that character. So I get to do the design for them, which is just such fun. And this time around, my favorite character to design, aside from that, we progressed Match's mutation further. And when Greg and Brandon both saw that artwork to sign off on it, I think they both had nearly identical responses of, "Oh, that's great, but oh man, poor Match," because it's getting pretty horrific. But I got to design the Earth 16 version of Metallo, and I love Metallo, but I wanted to do something a little different with him. We've had the kind of very Terminator-like version of the silver robotic body underneath the skin suit.
Hang on. Well, I have him. Let me just
Oh,
pull
there we
him
go.
out.
But we've had that look since, I think, like Superman the animated series and the John Byrne Superman reboot just after Crisis. And I wanted to do something a little different from that. So I wanted it to be, like black carbon fiber, materials, and I wanted to really play with the kryptonite in his chest as a light source. I put it behind kind of a robotic rib cage to make it look like it had some protection to it. And yeah, it's showing up very blurry on my screen. Hopefully it looks better in the
I'm sure it shows.
stream.
I hope it. Guys, does it come up blurry or is it coming up of high HD here? Because I've got one screen saying it's fine and the other is not. So you'll just have to buy the comic and see.
In any case, that was very fun to design. And when I was first doing the design, I assumed that we would have his face looking initially normal, and then do the thing that everybody does with Metallo, which is that as he gets into a fight,
blurry.
Torn away. Oh well. That you see part of it get torn away, and then Greg made it very clear that he wanted this to be a fresh off the production line, brand new Metallo. So we didn't really get to show that off. It would be great if we get to bring the character back in some form, whether it's more comics or whatever. I'd love to see what happens to him next. I'm fascinated by the idea that you've been put in this robot body. You're being kept alive by a thing in your chest that is incredibly rare, and the most dangerous evil people on the planet would kill you to get it.
Yeah,
That's not a
I'm
happy
still
place to be.
I'm still confused of like most kryptonite is found in Kansas because it follows Clark, but it's just like how does it end up in the middle of a cave during Europe? And I'm just like I'm sure Greg has a amazing
A
plot
cave
line.
that had an underground river running through it.
Yeah, it's like
So
how?
just kryptonite falls everywhere. Yes, the biggest concentration probably where Kal-El's rocket came down, but it just happened to land there, and the river carried it underground, and so it hadn't been found for a long time. It wasn't meant to be a big
I,
mystery.
I don't know, man. Greg has the tendency to just like the most minute things have
Well,
absolute peak. But
well, keep in mind the idea of there being a big concentration of kryptonite around Smallville because that's where Kal-El's rocket came down. I don't think we've really seen that spoken to in Young Justice as
oh
what
no, I
happened.
think that's because of
I think,
Smallville.
yeah,
The
in
series, that's
Young
why I
Justice,
get it from.
kryptonite is. I feel like in Young Justice, kryptonite has been treated as much more rare than it has been in some Superman media. I don't think there's a ton of it around, which is why finding a random chunk of it was kind of a big deal, like a big softball-sized chunk of kryptonite. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, that's a problem.
I mean, I'm not quite sure on the chunkage, but did they have to give him the entire bit? I mean, just chop it in half or something?
Well, we don't know. We don't know after the story exactly what solution they have found to try and keep him alive, but render him perhaps a little less
Mm,
potentially
mm.
dangerous. So
Okay.
if he comes back, we'll find out.
Speaking of now, you obviously didn't know the future of Young Justice when you were illustrating this and writing this. Did you do a kind of like have a backup plan as alternatives endings if the announcement had been done, had been made of a season 5, or was that just like this
Oh,
is how it goes, this is how it ends, no matter what?
um, well, I mean, obviously, Greg and Brandon are the ones to ask for a definitive answer on that, and the answer is probably going to be no spoilers. But generally, I think they have a sense of anytime you end a run of stories with Young Justice, there's always a sense that there are more adventures to follow. There's not
Yeah,
going to be a point where
you
it's like,
mentioned that in
and
season
all
two.
the evil in the world has been eradicated, and now everyone is happy forever and ever. That's not their.
No, no.
I don't think as much as fans always complain that there's always this teaser of what's going to come next, and you don't know how soon we're going to get that story. I
Really?
don't
What teaser at the end of season 4 was there? I never saw something.
the moment the wedding happened, I turned it off and stopped watching because like what else could
Yeah,
there be that you'd want to? It just why
yeah,
why
yeah.
why
If you
worry
haven't
about
finished
it?
watching,
Why worry about it? Just
yeah. At the end of season 4, Young Justice fans, just put your fingers in your ears and hum loudly with your eyes closed for 30 seconds after the
but
wedding.
by the way, I got to work on storyboards for the wedding scene, and I spent I think 2 or 3 days just drawing the master shot of everybody who was in the audience, which was an interesting challenge because they provided me with not just a list of characters, but a seating chart of like how they wanted them all arranged. And the problem is, you have chairs set out in rows, and then you have a character like Bear from the Forever People, who's huge,
Huge, yeah.
and then someone is sitting behind him. So
Can't
trying
see
to
him.
come up with poses that are static enough that it's not weird that if the character isn't fully animated, if they're just kind of there.
Oh, people are asking for you to post up the wedding storyboards. I don't think he has the permission to do that.
Yeah, I can't share that material. If you want to see what it looked like, watch the episode. It looked
Yeah.
a lot like that,
Well,
with less fully
speaking
drawn.
of mass shots, you're okay. Everyone here should have finished watching and reading this Young Justice Targets because I'm about to.
We should have probably said that there will be
Yeah, we
spoilers for
probably should
Young
have said
Justice
that at the
Targets.
very beginning. Okay. Yeah.
And you
Spoiler
can
for
post
the next.
this for later consumption. Just
Yeah.
warning, we will be discussing spoilers for
Yeah.
Young Justice
I'll
Targets.
put it in the post. Okay, so yeah, big shot at the end of Wally's funeral. Oh man, you got me on that one.
Yeah, I get to help end Young Justice Phantoms with the wedding, and then the dark twin of that scene with Wally West's funeral. And again, that I wasn't provided with a seating chart, although Greg specified like this group of characters are together, this group of characters are together, and it was interesting trying to figure out just through body language different levels and different kinds of expression of grief.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you did just destroy me with Artemis.
Yeah. And it just making choices like I have Dick Grayson more openly crying just because I thought, as tempting as it is to have someone from the Bat family be more stoic, it's like, you know what, this was his best friend, and I think Dick is a lot more in touch with openly showing his emotions than certain other mentor figures in his life.
Mm.
But yeah, it was interesting. Again, playing with the acting of the scene as far as facial expression and body position and all that, but also then just compositionally trying to have some variety to how everyone is all sitting, so they're not just beep boop, we are mannequins in chairs.
Oh,
Um,
someone's just come up with a good suggestion for you in the future of your commissions. You could do Connor and Megan's wedding dance.
oh, that's very nice. That's a nice
That would
idea.
that would be a good one. I mean, he everyone's got to remember he does have to earn a living, so he'll give you some.
Well, and aside from personal commissions, I have done a lot of prints, and I've been needing to do more prints since season 4 happened,
Oh,
and I've been so.
I'm back.
Hey, it was an exciting action sequence. I enjoyed it. Uh, I've been wanting to do more Young Justice prints, but I've been so nonstop busy with projects, mostly projects that fans were happy I was working on, like Young Justice season 4 itself, or the comic series. That I don't think anyone's been complaining too much about how I was spending my time. But
Okay.
I'm
Well, if
hoping
you did,
now in the near future I can finally do some new ones.
yeah. If you do decide that to do that as a commission, give Susie Brandy a discount on that because she just came up with that idea.
Fair,
Okay,
fair
got you
enough.
covered, Susie. Thanks for subscribing again. Okay. So, hang on, any more? Outstanding. Oh, actually, sorry. Back to the funeral thing. I'm just so glad that you guys actually made them wear suits and not come in costume. I never understand that as a comic. Why would a comic illustrator create? Yeah, we're meant to be at a somber event. Let's go in brightly colored spandex.
Yeah, well, and I think it depends because we had a in the previous comic run we had like a little one panel thing. It wasn't as big and epic as this shot of Wally's funeral and Young Justice Targets, but we had like one panel that was, I think, Kent Nelson's funeral, and I think that had people in costume, and sometimes you do that just as a storytelling shorthand of, look, if it's a bunch of characters standing around and it's little tiny faces, if we don't have them in their costumes, like the readers will have no idea who these
No, but
are
I
supposed to
love
be.
that. I love the fact I had to figure out who everybody was. And just
Well,
like, hang on,
and
who's it?
it,
Oh,
with Wally's funeral, it's like we had never seen the the Hawks with their masks off before,
No.
and it was interesting going around and trying like, okay, so who's wearing a really plain dark suit? Who's wearing something that's a little more like, it seemed like, okay, so like Arthur, Aquaman,
Mm.
uh, shouldn't should have something that maybe is a little more Atlantean. I think you can see if you look, he's not wearing shoes because the Atlanteans don't wear shoes. Um, but yeah, the Hawks had never been seen without their masks on before, and I gave them slightly more stylized suits. Um, some people are, they're wearing dark clothes, but something like a little less dressy than a suit. Again, just trying to add some variety and trying to think about like, well, who is this character and what can I say about who they are? I mean, that's what illustration is. That's what comic art is. It's not just most people look at comic art and they see what I think of as the surface. They see the drawing style. And most of the thought and creative energy that goes into it, for speaking for myself, is the thought of what to draw. And you are communicating story information with body language, with facial expression, with costume design, um, and even like the overall composition of the panel and the page. So that was fun to do. And again, a nice that scene culminated in a nice moment with Beast Boy and Perdita that
Mm.
had been
Don't worry, I am
implied.
still here, but my face is frozen.
Ah,
So I've just
well,
changed it to a one shot of you.
I can hold the fort down while you try to solve your video problem.
Thank you very much, most appreciated.
Yes.
So uh, when you were like illustrating the final issue, I've got like a few questions that you may not unfortunately know the answers to, which is why did you kill Cosmo? Why did you melt Stargirl's cosmic staff and not explain?
Well, I did it because it was in the script. As far as why it was in the script, you'll have to ask Greg. And obviously, if we get more Young Justice stories, then he will have to figure out what to do about that. what the result of that is, whether it can be repaired, replaced, or if Stargirl is going to have to figure out how to get by without the cosmic staff. But yeah, no, I saw that in the script. I'm like, really? Okay,
Really?
well,
Yeah, I've completely thought it was Miss Martian's illusion, but no,
yeah,
no, just you just straight
no,
up decapitated Cosmo.
it got melted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But was that kind of I did get a feeling that they were trying to give more support to CW Stargirl and interact that way because like I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it came across like that.
yeah,
Because Stargirl's ending, and then you bring in Stargirl a lot into the comic series and the final issues of like season 4. She was mentioned a lot, but
yeah. I mean, you'd have to ask again. You'd have to ask Greg and Brandon, and best of luck getting an answer as to why certain things appear in stories. But I mean, I think a lot of times it's just they've built up this large extended roster of characters, and then depending on the needs of the story, that sometimes points toward, we can use that. It would make sense to use that character in situation. Um, and then obviously with, again, the comics being a little faster moving than the animated TV show. But I mean, it's so funny when something happens with episodes of the TV show and people think it's in response to something else going on DC Comics related. It's like, oh, that was written 2 years ago. I mean, the time between when production starts and when you see the episode, it's like, oh no, that was locked in a long time ago. Do we have more questions? Am I here alone? I think I'm here alone. Hi. Assuming you can still see me. I'm holding the. This is the Christopher Jones show now. What else can I say without being prompted with a question about working on this? I would like to say,
I think
oh
I'm back
hey,
now.
you are back and you have the best video quality I've seen yet in the show.
Yes. Okay. Oh,
I'm gonna say what I was just about to say to fill time, waiting for your return. Um, something that is an ongoing part of my experience working with this property, which is both flattering but occasionally awkward, is I think because I'm so active on social media and I do conventions, that my name is out there. And so I will get name checked when people post about the show and their love of the show and wanting to see more of the show. It's like Greg, Brandon, and Chris Jones art. And I'm like, I am far from number 3 on that totem pole. Before I worked on Young Justice Phantoms, I used to tell people like I drew the tiny comics. I haven't even worked on the show. And then even in season 4, I'm not in the room helping shape the plot. I'm not doing lead character design. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I am one of a team of people that is helping develop storyboards, working with the different directors, which I'm so proud of the work I have done. But people get this, I think, distorted idea sometimes of what my role is, and then I find myself, while in the process of trying to clarify or correct for people what my role is, then it sounds like it's this self-deprecating, oh no, I really haven't done. I am very proud to be associated with Young Justice, and I'm very proud of the work I have done on it. But it's just, I don't want to find myself in the position of being praised for something that I didn't do. I was at a convention once, and I was talking to somebody that had stopped by my table, and I overheard what I assume was a conversation between a dad and his son. They're standing about 10 feet back from my table, and they're looking at my table, and I have a banner. It wasn't this one yet, but it was one branded with Young Justice artwork, and I'm sitting there talking to Young Justice, and the guy says to his son, "You see that guy there? He created the Teen Titans." I'm like, that's not correct on so many levels. I can't even
oh no.
begin. No.
No,
So
that's not how it works. He doesn't know everything. He's just no offense, he's just the guy who draws them. That's all he does.
and I'm not even like the lead guy. Like I said, I'm not the lead character designer. I'm not one of the directors. I'm not. But
Yeah, I mean,
at the same time,
I
like I said,
have
I'm
actually.
very flattered and I'm very proud of what my contributions have been.
I mean, when it comes to plots and things, poor Chris can't do anything. If he's told to kill off a character, and he has to do it.
And and I'm not saying I don't enjoy it, because I'm that kind of cold, soulless bastard. But yeah, it's not my call. Sorry.
Okay. No,
Who,
hang on.
me? A
Someone else has
ham?
just popped
No.
in. Okay. Chris. Oh, Kermin. Kermin, you've just added yourself in at the last moment, so we'll add you in. Hi, Chris. What kind of locations do you enjoy drawing the most in Young Justice? The fields of Markovia, the Watchtower.
A lot of times it depends on how good a reference I have and how much time I have. I one of my goals doing the comics, there's a phenomenon that happens with comics based on animation where it seems like, because it's a more simplified, stylized art style to begin with, coming from animation, that coming into comics, it gets even cartoonier, and that includes the backgrounds. Even if, like on a show like Young Justice, it's like the backgrounds are pretty detailed and realistic. And I didn't want the comic to feel like a further simplified version of the TV show. I wanted to add detail and texture. I wanted, even though the look of the show is what came first, and the comic is the spin-off from that. I wanted it to feel like the comic is the Earth 16 that the animated TV show is trying to do in animation. And unfortunately, that means really going crazy on these densely detailed backgrounds and
Oh
environments.
yeah, I was about to say, like, space, easy as pie, just a couple of dots.
Yeah,
Massive football fan pitch at the beginning. Oh, I gotta draw all these.
yeah. The thing that was a wonderful help um, coming to this after working on Young Justice Phantoms, though, was some of the locations, like the Watchtower, like the hub headquarters of the Outsiders. There are 3D models for. So I was able, even though very often you have to go in and you're still doing an original line drawing over the top of the 3D reference model. It's still so much faster and easier to be able to just like, yep, that's the shot I want, and like the perspective is worked out, all the details of what should be in the room are there. You just have to basically just do a line drawing over the top of it, as opposed to when I was working on the original tie-in comics, and I'm just like looking at screen captures from the TV show going, well, I can see this one angle of what that space looks like, and it's really detailed. And if I can't make that particular angle work for me, this is going to take me a day to figure out how to draw that from a different angle, and work it all out. So, but I enjoy the Watchtower a lot. I went out of my way in this, that when we would do an exterior establishing shot of the Watchtower, trying to show different angles than the one kind of stock shot. They always they have this beautiful model of the Watchtower, but just because of the realities of animation production, and you're trying to spend your time and money on the things that are going to be more noticeable to your audience, I think they end up going back to the same stock shot of the Watchtower a lot. And like, no, I want to do one that's like looking down from the top, and you can actually see where in that asteroid floating thing, the interior that we see, that's the big platform with the Zeta tube stations and all that, like it's at the top of it. Yeah. But yeah. So there you go. That's my rambling answer to that.
So you know where the bathrooms are then?
I didn't see any bathrooms. It was nice after it being this really obscure trivia point for the first 3 seasons, the origins of the Watchtower
Yeah, no,
in Young
yeah, it was
Justice, to get to see a Green Lantern base, and like it's remarkably similar looking to the Watchtower, isn't it? Because that's what the Watchtower is. It's a
it's a
repurposed
decommissioned
Green
Green Lantern. Yeah,
Lantern base.
yeah. He goes into in amazing detail. I mean, Greg says he's got a 1,000-page history book of like the future and past of Young Justice, and that's just going to be like the holy Bible if that's ever found. When he's like you Young Justice relic.
One of the most mind-blowing things about so when I moved from Minnesota to California to work on season 4 of the show. It was a change of careers. I went from being a full-time comic artist to being an animation storyboard artist who sometimes draws comic books. And I was out here for all of 3 months before the pandemic happened, and I shifted to working from home. But for those first 3 months, I was going into the Warner Brothers studio facility to where the animation offices were, and working there. And I would get to walk into Greg's office, and those infamous color postcards are
Post-it, yeah,
coloring the
I knew
wall.
that was coming up.
And it's just like, I'm standing in Greg's brain. It's just, I'm like, is it okay for me to see this? He's like, oh yeah, you're on the team, go ahead. And I'm like, I'm seeing stuff, and there's the stuff that is working out in great detail. The next episode being scripted. There's the board that kind of maps out the plot lines through the end of the season, and then there's the note cards of like ideas that have come up of something that could happen later. Maybe if there's a place to include it in the story, and like those are really interesting.
Or do you
Noah,
remember any of them?
oh
Do you
yeah,
remember any of them?
yeah. I'm not telling you what any of them were.
Damn it. Oh, hang on. Did you see any? Okay, any of the letter JW at any point?
Well, included in other words, sure. I mean,
Oh,
I don't.
oh, no, no. Um, that it's something I've been chasing Greg around for ages, ever since I saw it, and he's just like he knows, but he won't tell me.
Okay.
Oh no. Okay. So yeah, we've just passed an hour mark. I'll get one more question out of the way, and then I'll let you go and let myself go because it is 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay. That's the best reason I've heard for why we should wrap this up is to let you get
Oh
some
God.
sleep.
This is how committed I am to Young Justice, people. I really try.
So if you
I'm
haven't
running
clicked
out of
that
things to do,
subscribe
but
button
yeah.
yet, click that subscribe button. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Please, yeah, subscribe. I would love to do some more interviews. I mean, I would love to talk with Zira about LGBT representation, considering my brother, who is has come out ages ago, has actually mentioned that Halo gets mentioned as a superhero in just the general conversation of those social networks, and I think that's just amazing. I'd love to talk about with Denise uh, Boyette about having Amistad as a autistic child, because again that's something relating to me because I have dyspraxic dyslexia and autism, and it's just amazing to see that they've transitioned it so well. I would love to do more stuff. It's just I want it's very difficult to talk to everyone because it's 8 hour difference.
I'm amazed at the job they have done of taking all of these characters and story ideas accumulated from decades of continuity created by different writers and artists over those decades and melded them together into a DC universe that feels cohesive, that is diverse,
Hmm.
that feels like it reflects the modern cultural world in which we're living. Uh, yeah, it's amazing, and I love the the focus on representation. Despite what some critics will say, I don't think it's at the expense of any quality of the story. I think it's just telling a story that with characters that feel like that, like this is our world.
Real people.
This is
They
our
feel
world,
like
but with
real people.
superheroes in it. Yeah, I love it.
I described to Halo to my, Belle, my fiance, and just said like described who she was, and she says that is so inclusive. All she had to do is be plus size, and she'd have everything.
Yeah,
Okay,
and,
but
if you want that, we've got Dad Bod Red Arrow. So
yeah, that
I
was right
I
now.
mean
That is very true.
that is the gift that just keeps on giving. Every time I get to draw him, and like it's not like he's in terrible shape. He's still very athletic. He's just
He's just got a bit of a
he's just
gut.
getting a
He's
little
got a
older,
beer
and
belly.
it's not
Okay.
looking like a swimsuit model is not his top priority in life.
Okay, so three. I've got like three super quick questions, and then we'll
Okay,
finish off the chat. Okay,
let it
number
rip.
one. Do you know why there's a Star Trek roundabout in the free comic book issues? They put a
Didn't
Star Trek.
didn't work on it. Didn't draw it. Have no idea. I if
Okay,
I had
that's fine. It's just
if
like,
if I had
have you
if
seen that issue?
I have if I had to,
Why? Why is it there?
it's probably an impulse of the artist who drew it, including it as just a little funny joke. I would be, not that Greg isn't above putting in Easter eggs. That just doesn't feel like a Greg Easter egg.
No,
And I
I
also
mean,
I also think that was I also think that was one of the issues that he was having input on. But I think Art and Franco were scripting some of those early issues. So I don't know. I imagine it's just the people that were working on the book putting in a little funny joke for themselves, and it doesn't have any deeper meaning than that.
Oh, Mia Carla's just shown up with support. Hello, Mia. Sorry, we're just ending it now. You're gonna watch like 2 more questions, and that's it. Sorry. Okay.
But then you can go back later and watch all of this
Yes.
loveliness
Watch
again
the
and again to your heart's
blurriness for
content.
like 20 minutes. Watch Christopher take over my channel. Watch
Just
him.
close your eyes and enjoy it as ASMR.
Yeah. Watch him emotionally blackmail people to subscribe to my channel and succeed.
Feel free to clip those out and just use them in your other
Okay.
videos.
Okay. So, question number 2: favorite moment of the Young Justice, and like specifically, what was your favorite arc of the season 4?
Of season 4, oh boy. The wedding was very satisfying, given that I knew that was coming from early on and had to wait through everyone freaking out over the apparent death of Superboy, and it was like, you wait for what's coming. You're going to be happy by the end of the season. So it was pretty satisfying. That long production schedule of animation, like the flip side of that, if you're working on it, is how long you know stuff that you have to wait to be able to talk to anyone about it. Because, oh boy.
Don't get me started. I know people who because they're members of the press, get to see it slightly earlier than everyone, so they get to hold on to that bit of information, just like, okay. And then finally, so future of Young Justice question is in future. Going for a digital animated film is possible, but what would you personally, without using the influence you've seen on the board with Greg, what would you like to see from the future of Young Justice? Any plotline, storyline, character?
Honestly, in a meritocracy perfect universe, Young Justice should be the basis of the next DCAU. We should not only have more seasons of Young Justice, there should simultaneously be spin-off series. There should be a robust merchandise line that is more widely publicized and more widely available than the previous merchandise had been. I think people respond to this show, and that is in spite of its irregular, constantly interrupted production history.
12 years. 12 years.
Yeah.
Oh, 4 years a season.
I would love to have whatever happens in animated form accompanied by ongoing tie-in comics, which not only help keep the audience engaged in between the release of new episodes, because you're not going to have year-round constantly new episodes coming out, even if you are producing one season after another. But also, fans are constantly wanting to know what they've missed. Not only the time gaps between seasons, but in general the histories of these characters. And I feel like comics are better suited to looking backwards than the show is. I mean, the show has done its flashbacks and things, but generally speaking, the show should keep moving forward. The show should be about what happens next. And I think the comic is a great place to not get out ahead of what the TV show is doing, but instead do those deep dives into things that help you better explore the characters and find out things that have happened in their past.
I mean, you've got a new generation of heroes coming along, so I think you could just do it another time jump and just have them in charge again as a potential soft reboot. I mean, whether or not Miss Martian and Superboy have any kids is obviously up to Greg and Brandon, but that would be one OP character.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you have fans that are desperately anxious to have like Damian get to the age that he could be running around in a Robin costume. But these are also the same fans that are upset we've had time jumps. It's like, well, pick one.
Yeah, you can't have both.
It's very hard to do both.
Oh,
Um,
that's what that was what I was hoping in season four, that you could have both. If it was time travel, you could have one storyline set in the present where everyone was the same age, but you could have an alternate timeline in the
yeah.
future where Wally shows up because of his time travel, but then you could see adult Damian Wayne, you could see adult like
Well,
Jonathan Kent, and then obviously you get a bit of both, but obviously they didn't go that route. So
well, and obviously, if you do anything other than making it very clearly a possible alternate future, it puts you in the position of locking in a future that you now know, like, well, all right, so that character can't ever get killed off, and this character has to. So,
oh yeah, through deductive reasoning, yeah.
but
Uh,
um, but yeah, there's so many possibilities. I It is very understandable to me that people have very different opinions on what seasons are favorites, because this is a show that one of its defining characteristics is it kind of reinvents itself every season, and so depending on what characters, what story ideas resonate with you personally, that's going to have a huge impact on what seasons you think are best. And then there's also just the thing of, people that experienced it when they were younger in its original Cartoon Network run. It's not going to resonate with you in the same way years later. I mean, you may like it as much, you may like it more, you may like it less, but you're a different person by the time seasons 3 and 4 are coming out. But uh, it's such a rich universe. It is both like center of the strike zone of how I like to see the DC universe portrayed, and at the same time has such a unique voice and feels like such a unique depiction of the
hmm.
DC universe and its characters. And my favorite thing about it is that it is kind of marching forward in something that feels like real time, and that an individual story can have lasting consequences, and it's never about resetting to a status quo. It's always, things may get better, but they're not going to go back to what they were.
Hmm.
And I
They
think I
don't
think
treat the audience like children.
well, they don't do that. I mean, just case in point of the first season episode, failsafe, with the training exercise that goes horribly, horribly wrong, and they're all terribly traumatized by it. I mean, not only did the next episode show them like in therapy dealing with this horrible thing that happened to them, but I mean, you can really chart like the development of those characters, that
Because of that event, yeah.
they're going off in different directions than they had been previously. And I love that by the end of season 1, they're not the same characters they were at the beginning of the season. So obviously by season 2 they're going to be
Even
further
more
different
different.
yet. And that's been baked into what Young Justice is from season 1. And I'm sorry if you feel differently, but like, it's
No, no,
there.
okay. Oh,
No, I don't mean
oh,
you. I mean the fans that are like,
oh,
oh,
yeah.
season 1 was perfect, and everything since then has been garbage. Which, like, I, okay, that's you are entitled to your opinion. Enjoy, please enjoy season 1 all you like, but the rest of us are over here really loving the new stuff too. So
Actually, that brings it up to the like all this choice and stuff reminds me of the secret message hidden in Young Justice Targets, which I'm guessing was Greg's idea of
yes,
chosen family. I think that
yes,
is just the epic ending message that it's a the characters have chosen their family.
I,
The fans have chosen their family. It's not just it's everybody. It's ninja moms and like super alien dads. It's just
yeah,
like everything
yeah,
coming together, and they're choosing what team they are. They're choosing to become to be this thing. It's all chosen. The fans have chosen it. It's become really popular. It's just yeah, this is what we are, and
yeah,
everybody loves it.
yeah. That message from the accumulated titles of the individual stories, chosen family. That was absolutely Greg. But I was so happy when I saw it, because that's a theme that I believe in a lot. I have a lot of friends who have wonderful relationships with their family, their biological family, I should say, and I'm very happy for them. But I know so many people that have really toxic families, and I am such a big believer in, family is who you surround yourself with that respects you and treats you the way you deserve to be treated, and they love and support you. And find that where you can.
And how
And
does that not better describe the team in Young Justice?
yeah, that's of all the themes that run through this show. That's been a huge recurring theme, if not the central theme, since season one,
Uh,
and it only deepens and strengthens with every successive year.
I can't think of a better point to end on that. It's like absolutely sums up Young Justice as a whole. But so thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Christopher, for joining me.
Pleasure.
Please, like, comment, and subscribe, and share this. Hopefully, I'll get that 1,000 subscribers and get more interviews for you coming along. I am really trying, guys. It's just really hard to kind of not sound or come across as a psycho stalker to these people who live very far away.
It's the problem with
So,
trying
but
to get the attention of very busy people is they're
yes,
very
yes, well,
busy, and it makes them hard to get the attention of. Yes.
yeah. But thank you all. I absolutely love the show, and like it's changed my life literally in so many ways. I appreciate it every day. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for asking questions, commenting, and again, please like and comment and subscribe. And Christopher Jones has his own little website where you can get your own commission work at blog christopherjonesart.com. So if you want to buy some commissioned work, it's there. If you are looking for
I
specific prints,
I do commission work as time allows, which is less and less these days. But
sorry, correct, yes,
it does
sorry.
it does occasionally happen. And yes, my Etsy store has a ton of Young Justice
Yes.
prints
And
available.
potentially we've just inspired one today of a future one. I think that one will sell amazingly if you do it.
Well, first I have to do the one that's them replanting all of the apple trees in the yard that got destroyed in season 3. But no,
Oh,
no,
that
no,
sounds
no,
adorable. But
no.
yeah, if you have
No
them
one
like
wants
that,
that as a print. No one wants that as a print.
but if you just have them have them flying around and then have the dance floor with all the guys underneath it watching out, that's awesome.
That's true. That's true.
I want a 10% of the commissions.
Fair enough. When I do that one as a print, you'll get 10% of everything I make.
Heard that? That's a visual. That's a legal. Thanks. Okay, thank you everyone. Have an amazing time, and see you all soon. And as always, let hope burn bright. Goodbye. And we are.